Hey, hi, hello, how are you? I'm Pia and today I'm going to be doing my October wrap-up. During the month of October, I'm pretty sure I read about 13 books, so I'm really happy with all the things that I read. So the first book that I finished this month, last month, October, was The Royal We, and I listened to this on audio because I just love royal romances. This is kind of like a Harry and Meghan Markle kind of thing. I really liked this book. I was like so jamming on the romance and everything like that, until it had some cheating. That's why I deducted stars. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. Pretty enjoyable. Today's emoji book rating is going to be the pencil. So yeah, it was like pretty enjoyable. I think I'd recommend it, but again, if cheating triggers you at all, or death of a parent, I would definitely tread lightly. I don't like cheating in books. I don't like cheating in real life. That's a no. I got past it. Then I read Dear Sweet Pea by Julie Murphy. This is Julie Murphy's first venture into the middle grade world. This is about a plus size main character, and she is 12 years old and her name is Sweet Pea. Her real name is something that I forget, but basically her parents are getting divorced because her father is gay. He ends up moving to a house just 2 houses down from where her mom lives. It looks exactly like their house and it's kind of weird, and it's just about her adjusting to this, as well as her kind of eccentric neighbor runs like the Dear Flora May column in the newspaper, and she starts kind of helping her out and answering some of the letters on her own. So it causes a ton of mischief. It's super fun, has the most heart, and deals with some really important topics that I didn't expect it to deal with. This is a book that I really wish I had read when I was a kid, maybe not 7th grade, but younger than that, and I just really loved it, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely a new favorite, and I'm so happy this was written. Then I read an arc that I had of Resurrection Girls by Ava Morgan. I have this on NetGalley and I was really excited to get to it because it kind of intrigued me. It's about these 2 girls who are writing letters to guys on death row and rapists and people like that. So interesting, right? It has some sort of magical element too, with like a cursed family that moves in. Deals with a lot of grief, death of a young brother, I believe, drug abuse, and a lot of things. I really didn't enjoy this book, unfortunately. I felt like it was trying to do a lot of things, but it really didn't hit the mark for me. I felt like I didn't connect to any of the characters. I didn't connect with the story at all, and I was just overall really bored and really disappointed. So I ended up giving this 2 out of 5 stars. Then I listened to Lady Midnight. I loved this book. I love listening to these audiobooks, and I'm just in love with Cassandra Clare, as most people will know. I love these new characters we're introduced to. I also love how they are kind of intertwined with the characters from the previous series. Immensely enjoying this. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. There's not much I can say, but it's a continuation of the Shadowhunter world, following Emma Carstairs and not Jem, Julian Blackthorn, and their kind of whole dynamic and group of people, and 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. Then I read a book for my contemporary lit class, and that was The Penelope Awed by Margaret Atwood. I read this for class. It's a retelling of the Odyssey from kind of Penelope's perspective. I wanted it to do a lot. I really did. I wanted a lot from this. I had very high expectations because Margaret Atwood, but I was ultimately let down. Unfortunately, I really just didn't enjoy this nearly as much as I thought I would, and I didn't rate this. I tend to not rate books that I read for class just because I don't read them with the same scope I do when I'm reading for fun. Then I finally finished this audiobook that I started literally months ago, and that is The Lost Hero, the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. I think this is the 2nd series of his. I finished Percy Jackson a while ago, and I decided I want to start on these, but I had the audiobook out. I got like 60% through it, and then my loan expired and someone was in line, so I had to wait a while to get this back, but I finally finished it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely don't like these as much as the Percy Jackson books. I feel like they're trying to be the Percy Jackson books a little too much. Kind of like, oh, that's their Percy and that's their new Annabelle, but I am liking where the story is going. I'm liking the new mythology and kind of the differences that are there, but Percy Jackson is better, but I am going to continue with the series and see what happens. Then I picked up on a whim Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I listened to this on audio. I listened to a lot of audiobooks, and I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. This really surprised me. I thought I was going to give it 3 stars for the majority of the time when I was reading this, because I read A Study in Charlotte and it really just felt kind of like the same book to me. This is set in an adult timeline, one where it is in the past of this boarding school where a girl is murdered and there's this like truly devious note that's the murderer, and then in the present where it's like following a girl named Stevie who is going to this special like prodigy school and she's studying the murder case. It was great. The ending was why I gave it 4 stars. It got so crazy and I need the sequel. So if you're kind of debating A Study in Charlotte and these, I definitely like both of them. I think they're worthwhile, but they are super super similar, so if you're picking one or the other, I would go with Truly Devious. Then I finished Serious Midnight by Jen Bennett. This is the second Jen Bennett book I've ever read, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, maybe more like a 4.5, I'm not really sure. I gave Starry Eyes, which was the other book of hers that I read, a full 5 out of 5 stars, and I loved it so much. I just love her characters. These are such unique romances because they are contemporary, and this one has kind of like a mystery, but all the characters are so unbelievably unique. They don't feel like any other character I've met in any other book, and I loved what was going on. We have a main character who's obsessed with kind of mystery novels, and then there's a mystery that she kind of gets wrapped up in, also with this boy who she had like a one-night stand with, and they end up working at the same job. Jen Bennett really promises to deliver on the cutest, swoon-worthiest romance, as well as super intriguing and super interesting characters, and I just really love her books. And I think from now on, Jen Bennett is going to be an auto-buy author for me because I cannot wait to read anything she puts out. And I read another book which I was disappointed in, and that was The Wife by Alafair Burke. This is a thriller about the wife of a man who is accused of sexual assault and sexual harassment, and it's just kind of following her and her life. I think the woman who accused her husband ends up dead. This really didn't deliver on anything for me. It had so much, like the main character was like kidnapped, and she like, it's a whole thing. This had so many things going on. At the end of the day, if it's a thriller and there are these unbelievably horrendous things happening to these characters, I want to care about them. I feel like I didn't know these characters whatsoever, so I didn't feel anything to them when these things were happening. I was in the perspective of the wife, but I just didn't see her side. I didn't get her perspective, and I really didn't get the emotional appeal that I really was looking for in this book. The plot twists were so predictable. I tend to predict books in general, but there are some things that like surprised me, and this just really didn't do it. Unfortunately, this is the second Alafair Burke book, that's hard to say, that I have read that I haven't really enjoyed. And I finished Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This is a very, very interesting book. It's kind of a retelling of Lord of the Flies. These girls are trapped on this island where they had this boarding school because this weird illness is like outbreaks into them, and they are all contracting these interesting like symptoms. So some people have gills, some people have a second spine. So people outside of the island are supposed to be looking for a cure, but it's been almost 2 years and the girls are losing hope. It's really about the relationships between the characters. It's told in 2 perspectives, and it's really about friendship and grief and taking control of your life, and so many things go down in this book. It was such a good page turner, and I really, really enjoyed it. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite book is what I'm going to say about it. It definitely was a really well written book for a debut especially, and such an intriguing plot and one that I've never seen before. But again, it's not a book that I'm gonna reread. It's not a book I am gonna keep thinking about or that I'm really attached to any of the characters of the story. I do want to mention that this does end on a cliffhanger, but I love cliffhangers for endings. I am going to be the first one to say that. I love writing cliffhanger endings. I love reading them. So I know there's not a sequel, and I know it ends kind of abruptly, but I loved it. It made me enjoy it even more. Then I read City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is Victoria Schwab's first middle grade. It actually already has a sequel that came out, but I like having books in paperback. This is about a girl named Cassidy Blake who basically died, but she came back to life and was rescued by this ghost boy, and so now she's best friends with this ghost. She can see ghosts, and it's very ironic because her parents are starting to have a ghost hunter show. So they're going to Edinburgh, which is like the city of ghosts, as the title suggests. Things just start getting really weird. She doesn't know why she's seeing all these ghosts, and some weird things are happening with the veil. I love this book. I love middle grade. I will always say this. I do think it was kind of dark. I'm not really sure how the middle grade audience will go with this because it does talk a lot about death. I'm not a parent and I'm not a teacher, so I don't really know anything about that. I do read just middle grade for fun, for my enjoyment, for my purposes, for me reading it. I really enjoyed this, and I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Super intriguing, super interesting, and I'm really excited to continue with the series. I finally finished my reread of All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. This is my favorite book of all time. I really wanted to read this again because I read it for the first time last year and I wanted to annotate it. Is such a special book to me. I just have such a personal connection with it. There are so many things I want to say about this book. I've written so many like pages of notes on why this is not problematic, but I realize that anything can be problematic to anyone basically. So you may read this and you may be triggered by suicide and depression and and grief and car accidents and bipolar disorder, you may be triggered. So tread with such careful caution. But this book means the world to me. It really, really does. And I don't want to feel guilty in saying that because I love this book with my entire heart. I don't know, made me see myself in such a different way, and it just made me happy and made me sad, and I fucking love this book. Anyway guys, those are all the books that I finished during the month of October. I definitely started a lot of books and didn't finish them because that's just my life. Make sure to stay tuned for my November TBR. I don't need to keep talking. You've heard me talk enough. And like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!